There are 9 drugs that destroy your kidneys, and in most cases, really only one solution. But unfortunately, the 9th drug that I'm going to tell you about, I don't really have a solution for. So, oh well, good luck. So what we're going to do is go over each drug separately and give you a solution to each one to make sure that your kidneys can stay healthy. NSAIDs, such as ibuprofen, naproxen, aspirin. These are drugs that we take that are just over the counter, so we think they're safe, but they actually can destroy our kidneys. If you don't believe me, just buy a bottle of one of these things, read the label, and it'll say that it's harmful to the kidneys. The reason NSAIDs are damaging to the kidneys is because they decrease the kidney's ability to remove toxins from the body. Kidneys are so important that God gave us 2 of them in case we screw up. Good on God! The kidneys have a tremendous amount of functions. They play a role in controlling our blood pressure, but the kidneys are like a filtering system that eliminate things that our body doesn't need. It plays a role in our salt balance, it plays a role in our hydration, and if there's any toxins in our body, this is the way our body filters those toxins out and gets rid of them through the urine. When you take NSAIDs and you cannot get rid of these toxins, the toxins will build up in our body as well as damage the kidneys. Now the kidneys are damaged, they can't do their job, and now blood pressure goes up, electrolytes go haywire, and the kidneys start to fail. So what is the solution to this? Well, it's interesting because you can decrease the chance of your kidneys being damaged by hydrating well. So if you're taking NSAIDs, if you're taking an ibuprofen, a naproxen, an aspirin, then it's very, very important that you hydrate. You want to make sure that when you're drinking enough water, that the urine looks a light yellow. If you're going to the bathroom and your urine is a dark yellow, then you're simply not hydrated enough. So while it's not a perfect solution, because you are still taking NSAIDs and it is damaging the kidneys, you're not going to damage the kidneys as much as if you hydrate well. But a bigger picture here is, why are you taking these drugs when there are so many good natural solutions that can help you? There's many supplements that can help you with pain. Now this is going to sound biased, but maybe you should see a good chiropractor in your area. Chiropractic can really help with pain. Many of the reasons why people are taking NSAIDs is because of musculoskeletal pain. Just by showing someone how to be in better alignment, do adjustments to get their body in good alignment, all the joints of the body, and then give you exercise to help support that alignment can very often reduce pain enough that you just don't need NSAIDs anymore. So it's worth considering. There are certain antibiotics that are harder on the kidneys than other antibiotics. And if you're seeing a doctor and they're prescribing antibiotics, you always just want to be sure that these antibiotics are absolutely necessary and you can't exchange them for another one. I'm going to give you some examples. There's gentamicin, vancomycin, and there's Bactrim. These are very common antibiotics. The challenge is these can be very, very hard on the kidneys. And in healthcare, we're always exchanging benefits versus risks. There is no drug that doesn't have side effects. What we're hoping when we have these medications is that you're going to get a tremendous amount of benefit, but the side effects hopefully won't occur. That's what we're banking on. Now, in some people, they get very little benefit and tremendously bad side effects. That, of course, is a person who should not be taking that medication and be prescribed something else. But for the most part, most people get some benefit, but they also get side effects. So it's always a balancing act when you go to a doctor and get any type of drug, but particularly these antibiotics. Always ask your doctor, can I exchange another drug, and would it work just as well with less potential risk for the kidney damage? So what is the solution to this problem? Number one, always be an informed consumer, because that's what you are. You're not a patient that's a passive recipient of what the doctor wants to give you. You are part of the team. So always be aware of the drugs that you're taking and be aware of the side effects, just to look out for them. So always ask for alternatives if it's possible. But the other solution is to hydrate well, because you want to help your kidneys flush out the toxins and get rid of the problems. Healthy kidneys want to flush out toxins. When you damage the kidneys and they can't get rid of toxins, that's when they start to spiral down the drain. So the solution when you're taking antibiotics is hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. ACE inhibitors such as lisinopril are very powerful drugs, and unfortunately, the more powerful the drug, the more powerful the potential for side effects. And ACE inhibitors have been known to damage the kidneys. ACE inhibitors are very often prescribed when you have high blood pressure. One of the problems with things like lisinopril or any ACE inhibitor is that it can raise your potassium levels of your blood. This is the whole point of it, and this is what can help lower your blood pressure. The problem is then if you're trying to eat healthy and you're eating high potassium foods, then the potassium can get too high. Anytime you have a mineral or electrolyte that is too concentrated in the blood, it taxes the kidneys, and then the kidneys can only do so much, damaging them. So if you really have high blood pressure and you've been given an ACE inhibitor and now your kidney is starting to have problems and you're getting kidney disease and the kidneys are starting to fail, then what the heck do you do? Well, my advice would be to talk to your doctor about natural solutions. And for blood pressure, there are tremendous amounts of natural solutions. Now, there are some people that no matter what they do, their blood pressure is always going to be high, but that's a very small percentage of the population. The majority of people can lower their blood pressure with natural solutions, and there's so many. There's supplements that you can take, and I'll mention those in the future. But there's certain types of exercises like isometric exercises. Even if you're pretty much almost disabled, you can't walk, you can't exercise, you can still do isometric exercises, and this can help lower your blood pressure. I have other videos about that, so I won't delve into that now. But if you can, if you're able, you can walk, you can exercise, you can do cardiovascular exercise. For the majority of people, weightlifting doesn't have as much of an effect on your blood pressure as cardiovascular exercise or isometric training, so that's just something to consider. The other option if you're taking ACE inhibitors is to drink a lot of water, and this is just part of a natural solution to lowering your blood pressure. Lastly, you can do deep breathing exercises. There's just tons of stuff that you could do to lower your blood pressure naturally. And if you're just taking ACE inhibitors and damaging your kidneys, but you're not doing anything natural to lower your blood pressure, you're really missing out on the boat here. So I would try that. ARBs. This stands for angiotensin receptor blockers. These are drugs that can damage the kidneys. Probably the most common drug is losartan. Now, many people are given ARBs because they have high blood pressure. And blood pressure is something that can be, for the most part, controlled with natural solutions. It's worth trying. I've mentioned this in other videos, but the unfortunate thing is the drug can affect your kidneys in negative ways. And while the doctor is giving you these drugs to help your blood pressure, the problem is that there's a balancing act between whether your kidneys can take it. And this is the problem. The solution to this, if you just have to be on ARBs, is to drink a lot of water and make sure that when you go to the bathroom that the urine is a light yellow. That's really all you can do, other than just try natural solutions to blood pressure. Diuretics are used to get rid of edema. Now, if a person has congestive heart failure, if a person has high blood pressure, very often diuretics are prescribed for that type of condition. Now, as you can imagine, this causes the kidneys to eliminate a lot of water and fluid, which can cause dehydration. Some of the side effects of diuretics is that it can increase calcium in your blood and it can increase blood sugar. It can also increase uric acid. Now, isn't this just the frickin' cat's meow? You go to the doctor and they prescribe diuretics for congestive heart failure or, high blood pressure. And meanwhile, it raises your blood sugar, which leads to diabetes, insulin resistance, and all that great stuff. And you think, well, that's not good because that now is going to damage your kidneys even more. But keep in mind, your doctor only has the prescription pad to get you better. There just isn't a whole lot more they can do other than send you to a surgeon to use a scalpel. What is the solution if you're on a diuretic? Well, the answer is there just isn't a whole lot, especially if you have congestive heart failure. I mean, you got one foot in the grave and one foot on a banana peel. If you're given a diuretic because of your blood pressure, then you do have solutions. And that's what my whole channel is about, finding natural solutions to get you healthy so that you just don't need these medications. And as a side note, it is interesting that while we think of what are natural solutions for high blood pressure, it really is the wrong question. You should be asking, what are natural ways I can live so that I will be healthy? Because healthy people don't have high blood pressure. So I realize if it's congestive heart failure and that's the reason you're on diuretics, it's difficult. It's going to be difficult. What are the solutions? There just aren't many. But if it's high blood pressure, you've got lots of solutions. The drugs that they give you when you're getting chemotherapy are designed to kill things. Unfortunately, one of the side people that get killed is the kidney. I don't know any solution for this other than not doing chemotherapy and dying. It's just not a good solution. You just have to understand that when you receive chemotherapy, there's going to be problems afterwards. And you just have to appreciate every day and be thankful that you're alive. This is a difficult one because unfortunately, this is where medicine really shines, is that we have ways to take someone who should die and kill the disease with chemicals, and hopefully not too many of your normal body tissues will also be killed along with it. Unfortunately, chemotherapy is very hard on the kidneys because the kidneys are designed to filter toxins, and what they're doing is they're putting toxins into your body. So the kidneys can only take so much. So there's many people that when they survive cancer, unfortunately they need to be on dialysis or they have stage whatever chronic kidney disease, and it's just unfortunate, but there just isn't a whole lot of solutions. Now, one thing to consider is to be an advocate for yourself and talk to your doctors when you do get chemotherapy, that what are the chances that it's going to damage the kidneys, and are there any alternative chemicals that could be used? A good example of this would be, and I know he's got a bad name, but Lance Armstrong, when he first got diagnosed with cancer, he needed to go and get chemotherapy. Well, the chemotherapy that he was prescribed was going to be very damaging to his lungs. Now, being forward thinking, he thought, well, there's got to be an alternative, and he went to a different doctor that gave him a different type of chemotherapy and that was less harmful to his lungs, because he knew that if he survives cancer, he could race again. But if his lungs were damaged, he'd never be a bicycle racer. Well, he ended up winning supposedly a number of bike races, and he wasn't a perfect human being, but let's face it, he was an advocate for himself. And that's my point, is that if there are drugs that are damaging to your kidneys and you already have kidney problems, you may want to talk to your doctor about alternative ways of doing chemotherapy or different drugs so that there's less damage to your kidneys. But not a whole lot of solutions there for you. Imaging contrast dyes like iodine can damage your kidneys. Now, unfortunately, sometimes we have injuries where we can get problems in our arteries or our joints. I send people out for MRIs all the time, and only if it's absolutely necessary do we use a contrast dye. And the reason why is because I don't feel as though it's worth damaging the kidneys to see the stuff I need, like I said, unless it's absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, sometimes it's necessary. So if you're having a heart problem and they put an IV in you with a contrast dye so they can visually see where that contrast is going through inside the arteries, unfortunately, that contrast dye is not isolated to your heart. It'll go through your entire system. And then once it gets to the kidneys, it can damage the kidneys. This is so common, and people end up with kidney failure because of this in certain circumstances. The name for it, and you can just look this up, is called contrast nephropathy. And that's just a fancy way for saying we did a test, your body didn't react well to the contrast dye, and now we've damaged your kidneys. So what is the solution to this? Well, in certain circumstances, you have to have it done. But if you're having this test done, then it's very, very important. And usually the tech will tell you this, that you need to drink a lot of water. So much so that for a short period of time, that the urine comes out almost clear, a very light yellow. If your urine is coming out a dark yellow, then you're simply not hydrating enough. You need to flush those kidneys out, because those kidneys are going to be working overtime to try to get rid of the dye that's inside your arteries. In fact, if you're in a hospital, many hospitals will give you an IV fluid to make sure that they don't damage the kidneys. Because like I said, this is very, very common. In addition to that, the other solution is if you're seeing an orthopedic surgeon or you're seeing a doctor of chiropractic and they're ordering an MRI or a CT scan and they're thinking of using contrast, ask them if it's absolutely necessary. Sometimes you can actually see what you need to see without contrast. Now, if it turns out that we're looking for something and contrast would be an ideal situation, and you want to have the MRI or CT without the contrast first, if we see what we see, then that's great. If we don't see it, then you have to repeat the procedure again. Now, in the case of an MRI, there's no radiation. So doing another MRI is really just a matter of price, of cost. It just costs more money. A CT scan, though, uses x-rays. If you have to do a repeat test, now you're not only getting the contrast dye, but you're also getting more radiation. So that's something to consider. And when you, like I said, when you talk to your doctor who's an orthopedist or a doctor of chiropractic and they're ordering MRIs or CT scans, you need to consider that. Lithium is a drug that is often prescribed for bipolar disease. It's well known that it can damage your kidneys and also your thyroid, which is ironic because your thyroid plays such a role in your entire metabolism and your brain activity. But the problem here is that if you have a severe mental disability, there just isn't a whole lot that they can do other than prescribe medication. Now, the million-dollar question is, could you deal with the bipolar disease through therapy or other means, or are there natural approaches? And of course, these are worth trying before you ever go on lithium, because lithium is, even though it's prescribed, just like this to pretty much, it's almost like sometimes I have an entire day in my practice where it seems like everybody takes lithium. I wonder if it's overprescribed because it's quick, it's easy. It's much easier to prescribe a drug than to sit down with the person for an hour and figure out that your brain works in unique ways and this is just who you are. So you learn to accept who you are and learn to deal with it in natural methods. It's not very common. And for the last 4 years, because of the disease that shall not be named, because you get in trouble if you say the word on social media because the powers that be will slap you on the wrist or cancel you. Boy, that was a good one. People are not talking to counselors anymore. You don't go into a counselor. Most counseling now is over the phone or on Zoom. There's no personal connection. It's unfortunate. I remember a movie, there's a number of good movies, but there was one movie called Ordinary People. Judd Hirsch was the psychologist, and it was a very powerful movie about a kid who was having a lot of trouble, and the connection that the kid made with the psychologist and how the psychologist helped him. Another one was Good Will Hunting. Remember Robin Williams? That was a very powerful movie, but the connection, the human connection, I don't know, man. I I don't think it's being done over Zoom. And so that's why it's just easier just to prescribe drugs. But just understand that if you're taking lithium, it's a powerful drug that can have many benefits, but with powerful drugs, there's usually powerful side effects. And the kidney damage, if you take it for a long period of time, eventually there's going to be some kidney damage, and you're just going to have to deal with that. Is there another drug that may help you with your mental condition that you can cycle through and change to give your kidneys a break from the lithium that may work just as good as lithium, or 75% as good? The last thing is to drink a lot of water. And this is a central theme in this entire video, is you can help the kidneys if you drink a lot of water. And how do you know you're drinking a lot of water? Because the pee is a light yellow. Dark yellow, bad. Alcohol and illegal drugs can severely damage your body in terrible ways, mainly your liver, but also your kidneys. Kidney failure can be attributed to chronic alcoholism, not just the liver. There's a misconception that alcohol damages your liver only. No, it damages a lot of stuff, including your entire life for that matter. But the kidneys are something that you need to be aware of too. Now, the illegal drugs also damage all aspects of your body. But interestingly enough, alcohol, while it's in the process of damaging your liver, it also raises your blood pressure. And that higher blood pressure overtaxes the kidneys. That's the mechanism by how it works. And higher blood pressure is the number 2 cause of kidney failure. Number 1 is diabetes, which, depending on the type of alcohol that you drink, for example, wine that has a lot of sugar in it, if you get diabetes and high blood pressure from your alcohol, then your kidneys have no chance. Heroin and cocaine, which are extremely popular, I hear. I personally don't know many people that do this. My guess is you're watching this video, and if you've gotten this far, I'm assuming that you're not on cocaine and heroin. If you are, I wish the best for you. But a lot of people are alcoholics, very functioning alcoholics. This is not a solution. But if you do drink alcohol or cocaine or heroin or meth or whatever, how do you help your kidneys? Hydration. But that's not a solution, but it's better than nothing. After discussing all these 9 different drugs that damage your kidneys, what is the solution for the majority of them? It's hydration. Drinking a lot of water is very, very important. Making sure that you're drinking water properly. Let me get something. Hold that thought. I'm going to show you this. You need one of these. This has all the things that you need to make sure that when you drink water, you're not getting all these weird plastics or poisons inside the water. I'll put a link down below in the description of how to get, this is a Coleman. These are great. So you just put water in here and you just drink it all day, making sure that your urine is a light yellow. That's been the central theme of this entire video, assuming you're not going to get off these drugs. It's important also for your kidney health to maintain a normal blood sugar. The best diet, the ideal diet that you want to follow is some type of Mediterranean diet or a zone diet. These are diets that have adequate protein but not excessive protein, because you don't want to overeat protein, because that's something that is hard on the kidneys. So you eat adequate protein, enough of the proper carbohydrates. You're not eating crappy carbohydrates, you're eating vegetables, those are carbohydrates, and some fruits. And then you're not eating a lot of bad fats like trans fats and seed oils. You're eating mainly olive oil and avocados and things like that. You want to make sure and control your blood pressure, because again, like I said, that's the number 2 cause of kidney failure. So by controlling your blood pressure, figuring out how mentally you can control your blood pressure through deep breathing exercises, through the proper exercises, physical exercises like isometric exercises and cardiovascular exercises. And then again, the diet plays a role in your blood pressure. So the Mediterranean diet is something that you can follow. Very simple, tasty, and you don't feel restricted. If you exercise every day, you try your best not to get cancer, because then you don't have to have all these dyes put into you to look for problems, and the chemotherapy won't be an issue if you don't get cancer. But that's stuff we don't have a lot of control of. And of course, stay away from any alcohol cocaine, and heroin. You know, just a suggestion. So as far as your kidneys are concerned, if you want to know some food that you can eat rather than being told what you can't have, what can you eat? Watch this video right here. If you click this video, I will help you in that I will show you stuff that you can eat that tastes really good and is healthy and safe for your kidneys.